that's the first time he straight up loses it. He almost tries to kill them.
Smell good.
We'll see about this.
Some said he was a genius.
But Dad, what is it? It's perfection. That's what it is.
Some thought it was madness.
Nobody ever thinks of leaving this country. I do. I think about it every day.
Tell him he is a dangerous man, and one of these days he's going to get you all killed.
He wanted to change the world.
What is it you want?
Elbow room. He found a world that would.
Eric!
Yes, Tig.
Your assignment for this week was to watch the 1986 drama, The Mosquito Coast, starring Harrison Ford and River Phoenix and Helen Mirren, and directed by
Peter Weir, known for The Year of Living Dangerously, Witness, Dead Poet Society, one of my favorites, The Truman Show, and Master and Commander. This is a guy who actually had a really good career, and a lot of people don't bring him up when they talk about good modern director.
Yeah,
I will note this. So check it out. The movie opens up and you have a driver driving a vehicle with a passenger looking around at the world and basically decrying the world. Say, look at all the crime, look at all the filthy people. At one point he says, look around you. This place is a toilet.
Go on welfare. Get free money. Look around you, Charlie. This place is a toilet.
Have we watched another movie with a guy driving around with a passenger, judging the world in that way?
Yes.
All the animals come out at night. Queens, fairies, dopers, junkies.
Those two movies were both written by the same guy. Paul Schrader wrote the screenplay for this.
Really?
Yes, Paul Schrader was the writer of Taxi Driver. He also wrote Raging Bull, The Last Temptation of Christ. Yeah, he wrote the screenplay for this. Now, unlike Taxi Driver, this didn't come from his mind. It's because it's based on a novel. But
right.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that in the beginning, as we're seeing Harrison Ford essentially do like, the small town Travis Bickle, that it was also written by Schrader. I love the concept, and I love how quickly it gets moving. He has his little rant. He gets home. He shows his family his ice machine, and then they're off to the jungle. They're like, all right, off we go. I mean, it's like 20 minutes into the movie, if that, before they're off on their adventure. I'll say this about the Mosquito Coast. I think if this fell off the radar, it's because, for me at least, and I now see that a number of critics disagree with me on this, but that's right. For me at least, Harrison Ford did not land.
All right, we'll get it someplace else. This is not the only place in town. Goodbye.
I respect and appreciate that he was attempting to do something different than the Harrison Ford brand of acting. I like that he was playing a darker role because his character here is just an asshole. He's an egotistical, arrogant asshole who pretty much emotionally torments his family for 2 hours.
I said I wanted to go with Mr. Hardy.
Drop what you're doing, pack up, and get out. But don't come back. Ever.
It was his favorite role, by the way.
Yeah. Ford is really defensive about this. Like, hopefully he will never see this episode because he's been historically defensive about this movie and about people who are critical of the movie. He's really proud of this role, and I can understand why. He was attempting to do something that really wasn't part of what made him a star.
It was probably fun for him after being Indy and being Han. It's probably fun for him as an actor.
I do agree that it's one of his boldest roles, but I never bought the idea that this guy's mental facilities were breaking down and he was losing touch with reality in the way that you should, because that's the story arc. That's the character arc for him.
I like him in it because of him being different. It was cool, especially as a kid, to see him as a jerk because, like I said, you grow up and he's like the hero of everything.
But Father was restless. It was all too easy now, and everyone was taking his eyes for granted.
I enjoyed all the symbolism and stuff of there's a nuclear war coming, so we're gonna go to the jungle to get away from it, and then at the end when his ice contraption explodes and pollutes everything, and there's like the fireball. It's like he created his nuclear holocaust in the jungle with his utopia that he was trying to form, and how the ice thing is basically like a church. You know, that when you go rolling by and you see the giant ice machine as almost like a church in the middle of the jungle.
He has this rivalry with the missionary who's also down there, because he thinks, oh, you know, the missionary is just down there looking for worshipers and to convert people to his way of thinking, and he just wants these people who are going to like fall over his every word and all that. And yet that's exactly what his character is looking for as well.
The Lord sent me here. The Lord hasn't any idea this place exists.
And same thing as you point out, he thinks he's going to form a new pure society, and what does the guy do? He ends up polluting and destroying the place that he goes to. He pollutes the river so that it's not usable anymore, and explodes his machine out in the middle of the jungle. He becomes the very thing that he thought he was escaping.
She was all I had in the world.
What good is a boat without a river?
The river is there, Father.
It's full of ammonium hydroxide. Contaminated.
And he's so stubborn about it, right? So after all this happens, they go out to the beach, and the family thinks, great, finally we can get back to a normal life. And he's like, what are you talking about? We have everything we need right here. If it hasn't washed up on the beach, he says, then we probably don't need it.
That part of the movie is so infuriating. Like, even one of the younger sons, like, I want him dead.
Yeah. But he is so wrapped up in it that he can't allow himself to be wrong. So even when his world literally explodes around him, he would rather eat garbage from the beach and live in a hut than admit that possibly he got in a little over his head.
Yeah, even when he's dying on the boat and he says, Mother, are we still heading upstream? It's like, holy Christ, dude.
We're still going upriver, Mother?
Yeah, which I love that. No, they weren't heading upstream. This was the first time that Helen Mirren, who plays his wife, I lied to him. All that thematic stuff was really well done, and I love the idea that he thinks he's built this utopia. He goes away for a couple days, bring ice to to a nearby tribe. He comes back, and the missionary lured everyone away. And then later, by the end of the film, of course, they come to find that the missionary has established this beautiful little colony.
That's the first time he straight up loses it. He almost tries to kill them.
Smell good.
We'll see about this.
He sets the church on fire, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, like that's the first time you're like, oh, okay, like now he's like really went off the deep end.
Communists. His previous act of violence, it was in self-defense.
Yeah,
those men,
it was justified, definitely.
They were kind of in a situation where he had to act. He had to act.
Ole. Right, gentlemen.
And the way he chose to do it was, certainly better than hacking them up in their sleep.
Don't pity those men, Charlie. Give them every chance to leave. If they just lay down, they'll be all right.
Yeah, like he said, if they just laid down.
I do have to say this is a little bit picky, but when the machine exploded, I couldn't help but think, what kind of inventor are you that you invent this machine that all it takes is a couple of little holes like this big, and it goes from making ice to exploding into a gigantic ball of fire? What the hell?
The one scene that always stuck with me from that, though, was that scene where he is watching it explode and he's like screaming. That scene, and it was a specific line that I still do not understand.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
I could be your girlfriend, if you want.
I think about you when I go to the bathroom.
Not I think about you in the bathroom, or I think about you when I'm in the bathroom. I think about you when I go to the bathroom. And I remember hearing that as a kid, and then hearing as an adult and being like, I don't exactly understand what you mean. And I Googled it too, and there's a lot of people online that are like, that's like the weirdest line that they ever heard in the movie.
It's definitely super weird wording. I just took it to mean basically like,
like I think about you in the bathroom. Like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Like basically it's the Divinal song.
think about you when I go to the bathroom.
Right, yes.
Speaking of River Phoenix, he did not get nearly the screen time and the lines that I would have liked, because what he did get, he was really good here.
I know he's the narrator, it's basically the story's told from his point of view, but I agree, he's not in it enough.
All winter, Father had been saying, there's going to be a war in America. He said the signs were everywhere. In the high prices, the bad tempers, the gut worry.
The son is the moral center. He's the moral compass of this story. He's the one who we're watching his father's madness through the son's eyes. I don't think that the movie leaned into that nearly as much as it probably should have.
I like him because he's the peacemaker all the time. He's always trying to settle his younger brother down when his younger brother's being abused, basically. He's always trying to calm his mom down.
There's a really telling scene early on that I kind of appreciated. And it's when the two of them are driving in the pickup truck. Ford's character says something to the effect of, crime pays in this country. And River Phoenix laughs.
Yeah.
He thinks his dad is joking, but his dad isn't joking. He actually means it.
Turn to crime. Crime pays in this country.
I like that scene and I like that beat because it tells us that the son doesn't yet realize that his father's already gone.
Yeah, by the end, he's fantasizing about how he can stab him in the back.
I imagined how it would be to stick a knife in it, just below his ragged collar.
It's crazy. The movie's pretty hardcore.
Again, it was exploring some ideas that I think weren't really being touched on at the time, and at least not in major pictures, especially in the 80s. One guy who has the boldest dreams and the strongest drive can reshape society. What this movie is saying is that's a complete and utter pipe dream. It's lunacy.
I also enjoyed the thing he had going with the preacher because I felt like both of them were shitty people.
Now, we haven't seen you in God's house in quite a while.
They were just the science guy and the religious guy, and they were both the same.
And...
Oh, one real quick thing before we wrap up. If it wasn't for this movie, River Phoenix would have never have played young Indy in the Last Crusades, because Harrison Ford actually, because they got along so well on set, that he suggested that River Phoenix play him.
That's unfortunate because I can't stand the young Indy parts of Last Crusade.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm being completely serious. They should have never done that. It was the most lazy, lunk-headed bullshit. Oh, look, here's where Indy gets every single trait that makes him recognizable. So dumb.
I agree with
River
that.
Phoenix himself was good, but what a garbage scene.
I do agree with you. I 100% agree with you that they should not have added everything that, he gets his hat, he gets his whip, he gets his scar, he learns not to like snakes all in one day.
This should be in a museum.
So in a way, this movie ruined the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade for you.
Yes, absolutely. I will say for folks who are somewhat compelled by those stories of men venturing off perilous expedition into the jungle, thinking that they're going to find a utopia out there. One very obvious one is obviously Apocalypse Now. For those who haven't seen it, watch Werner Herzog's Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Terrific movie about the conquistadors looking for the city of gold in the jungles of South America. And it's very much a picture about a man descending into madness. It's a great one. And in fact, it's been on my list of potentials for this.
Ooh,
it
sounds interesting. I mean, you can always throw it my way.
So those are my recommendations for people intrigued by the Mosquito Coast.
Breakfast, 7 a.m., eggs and bacon all around.
Usually, you would be handing a movie off to me this week.
But this week's different.
A special movie club event. Ken Array decided to not only pick a movie for us to watch, but also pop on the show with us and discuss it after we watch it.
Super excited to get Ken on the show, and really excited about the list of movies that she provided to us. A couple of those movies stood out to me, but one in particular I've actually been wanting to see for a couple of years now because it looks uber creepy as hell, and I'm kind of really looking forward to it. So that is
The Descent.
Hey, give me a smile.
There's only one way out of this chamber, and that's down the pipe. Please! Is there anybody there?
more looking forward to shooting the shit about it with Ken. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. In the meantime, if anybody wants to subscribe, that's cool, but the best thing is to leave some comments down below about Mosquito Coast, or if you enjoyed Harrison Ford in this movie, or
your favorite Harrison Ford roles that are not Star Wars, Indiana Jones, or Blade Runner. Your favorite Harrison Ford roles, let's hear.
That's a good one. You are Eric and I am Tig, and thanks for hanging out at the movie club.